What if the next great manufacturing revolution isn't happening in some sterile clean room, but right in our own backyards, buried inside piles of waste? We're about to dive into how a new layer of data and AI is turning the messy world of construction debris into a precision operation for the new bioeconomy. Now, this isn't just your standard recycling. This is a digital refinery in action.
So, you look at a pile like this, and what do you see? To most people in the construction world, this is just garbage. It's a logistical headache, a costly line item on a budget, and it's got a one-way ticket to the landfill. It's the messy, expensive, and frankly wasteful end for a resource that has a ton of potential.
But what if we could see this pile in a totally different way? What if, with just a single glance, we could flip the script and transform it from a liability into a high-demand, high-value industrial asset? Well, that's the game-changing shift we're talking about, and it's happening right now. So, how do you actually do that? How do you bridge that massive gap between the chaos of a construction site and the clean, consistent product that industries are crying out for? The answer isn't in a new kind of factory. It's in a new kind of infrastructure, the digital refinery. Okay, so before we get to the solution, we have to really understand the fundamental problem here. It's not that we don't have enough material. We have mountains of it. The real crisis is one of quality, and this is what the industry calls the great quality gap. On the one hand, you've got the reality on the ground, construction and demolition wood waste. It's a messy mix of treated lumber, painted boards, nails, plastics, you name it. But on the other hand, you have what the bioeconomy needs, pure, consistent, high-quality feedstock. The entire challenge is figuring out how to connect these two very different worlds. And make no mistake, the scale of this problem is absolutely huge. A whopping 40% of all construction and demolition waste by weight is wood. Think about that. That's millions of tons of potential value that we are literally just burying in the ground every single year. So, how do you solve a quality crisis this big? You need a gatekeeper. A really, really smart one, with superhuman vision that can inspect every single piece of wood before a truck even starts its engine. And for that, you need to deploy AI. So, check this out. It starts with something simple. A contractor on site just snaps a photo with their phone. Instantly, the AI, using models like Google's Gemini, gets to work. It's not just seeing wood, no. It's identifying the specific types, it's flagging potential contaminants, and it's even calculating the volume and density to estimate the weight. In just a few seconds, that messy, physical pile is transformed into a clean, digital asset packed with valuable data. And this is where that data becomes your shield. The AI is specifically trained to spot what's called subject waste. You know, the really nasty stuff like wood treated with arsenic or coated in lead paint that you absolutely cannot have in your feedstock. By catching it right at the source, the system protects everyone down the line from massive financial and legal risks. Okay, so you've solved the quality problem. That's huge. But that's only half the battle. Now you actually have to move all this material. And that's where you slam into the second major roadblock, the brutal economics of transportation. And this quote right here says it all. Wood waste is bulky, it takes up a lot of space, but it's not actually that heavy. This means you can fill a standard truck to the brim, and you're still basically hauling a bunch of air. And when you're paying for fuel, for the truck, for the driver, hauling air is a fantastic way to lose money. So how do you solve that density dilemma? Well, you get a bigger boat. Or in this case, a much, much bigger truck. Meet the 144 cubic yard walking floor trailer. This thing is an absolute beast, and it's designed to do one thing and one thing only: maximize every single pound of payload. And the difference this makes is just staggering. See, a standard dump truck cubes out. It runs out of physical space long before it hits its legal weight limit. But this monster of a trailer is so big, you can keep packing it until it weighs out right at the maximum legal weight. The result? You can literally cut your transport costs in half. All right, so we've tackled quality? Check. We've tackled logistics? Check. But there's one more dragon left to slay: the absolute labyrinth of environmental regulations. You make one wrong move here and your whole operation can go up in smoke. You see, compliance can't just be an afterthought, a box you check at the end. It has to be baked into the system from the very beginning. So the real question is, how do you automate trust in a world that runs on paperwork and red tape? In a place like Ontario, for example, you're navigating this alphabet soup of regulations. You've got the RPR, the EASR, Regulation 347, and they all have their own specific rules and reporting requirements. It's honestly enough to make your head spin. And this is where the digital refinery becomes a compliance powerhouse. Remember that AI-generated data from the very first step? Well, the system uses that to automatically fill out all the necessary digital paperwork. And if the AI flags a problem, it can instantly and directly alert the authorities, creating a perfect, unbreakable chain of custody. It's basically compliance on autopilot.
But let's be honest, for the circular economy to really work, it can't just be about feeling good or doing the right thing. It has to make good business sense. It has to be profitable. And here is the financial genius of this system. Governments are starting to bring in new taxes or levies on waste to discourage landfilling. But with this AI verification, you can prove your wood is clean. And that means you don't have to pay the tax. The system literally turns what would be a regulatory cost into a real, tangible saving. It's a massive competitive advantage.
So what's the grand finale here? What happens when you put it all together? AI-powered intelligence, super efficient logistics, and fully automated compliance. Well, you create a perfect circle.
This right here is the holy grail of the circular economy. You've finally broken free from that old, linear, take, make, waste model. You have successfully turned one industry's trash into another industry's treasure. And the results are very real. You're creating high-value feedstock for green industries like biocarbon producers. The AI can even spot really nice pieces of wood that are perfect for upcycling or your next DIY project. And you're doing all of this while completely bypassing the old, slow, inefficient waste transfer stations. It's a win-win-win. We've just seen how this digital refinery model works for wood. But what if this is just the beginning? What if we could apply this same thinking, this same technology to every single waste stream out there? From plastics to drywall to old electronics, we could literally start mining our landfills for the resources of tomorrow. And that right there isn't just a possibility, it's the future.